Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bodhale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so we'll continue with chapter 13, verse number 13. So, okay, so this chapter basically deals with the nature, and joy, and consciousness. And so 13 to 19 is about Nyayam. Okay, so a quick revision. What are the 6 things discussed in this chapter? 2 P's, 2 J's, 2 K's. Yes, anyone remember? What are the 2 K's?
Kshetram and Kshetrajnam.
Yeah.
Prakriti and
Purusha.
Prakriti, Purusha. Jnanam and Jnayam.
Jnanam and Jnayam. Yes, Mataji. Okay. So these are the 6 things discussed, and now we'll see about Jnayam. That is object of knowledge. Okay. So, Kshetra, Kshetrajna. Kshetra is the, what is Kshetra? Can you put in the chat, everyone? Kshetra. Kshetra means? Yes. Yes, Sunita Mataji.
Mataji. It's a field of activities, Mataji. It's a body.
The body, right? The body or the field of activities. Yes, the field of activity of the body is the Kshetra. And Kshetrajna, you can put in the chat. Kshetrajna is? Yes, the knower of the body, but who is that? Kshetrajna is the knower of the field or the body. Who is that? The super soul. And yes, soul and one. Yes, soul, right? The soul and the super soul. Yes, so soul and the super soul are the Kshetrajnas. Kshetra is the field of activities or the body, and Prakriti is the material nature, Prakriti. And what about Purusha? Purusha is the enjoyer, that's Krishna. And now we'll see about Jnanam and Jnayam. Okay, so Jnanam is the knowledge, and Jnayam is the realization. So what is the real knowledge? To understand soul, spirit, the difference between matter and spirit. So understanding living entity as knowable. So 13:13 says, Jnayam yattat pravakshyami yajnatva mridam asnute anadi madparam brahma nasatran nashaduchyate. I shall now explain the noble, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Okay, so he is going to say about the back. Chapter 2 already discussed about the soul as eternal, and there is no specific date at which the Jiva was born, right? Nor anyone can trace how the history of the Jivatma's manifestation from the super soul. The living entities are eternally in the service of the Lord, as confirmed by Chaitanya Charitamrita Leela by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jivera Sarubhai Krishnera Nityadas Krishnera Tadastha Shakti Bheda Abheda Prakasha. So Jivera Sarubhai, what's a Sarub Lakshanam is that we are eternal servants of the Lord. Krishnera Nityadas, eternally, Nitya, always. And Krishnera Tadastha Shakti, we are the marginal energy of the Lord, right? Tadastha Shakti of the Lord. So the next few slokas, that is 14 to 18, says about the qualities of the Paramatma. Krishna is in as Paramatma, is completely agreed in the scriptures, right? Sarvasya Chaham Hridhi Sarvishtam Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridesharjana Tishtave. So in which form is the Lord as Paramatma in us? The Paramatma feature, which is in the material world. In which form is the Lord like that? Yes. Which is that form of the Lord as Paramatma, and who is as Paramatma in our hearts? And unmute everyone. Yes. The 400 form, yes, the 400 form, and which Vishnu has come as Paramatma? Has come as the Paramatma. Kshirodashaya Vishnu. And what's the size of mentioned in the Shastra, Bhagavatam, about the super soul? Anyone remembers the size?
Of the hair of the tip.
No, that's the soul, na? That is for the soul. Yeah. Soul is, yes, 1 by 10. 1 by 100, the tip of the hair. So, 1 by 10,000, the tip of the head. So that is the soul. Thumb size, Sharmila Mataji, that's because when Uttara prayed, Krishna went as Paramatma. I mean, as in the thumb size to Uttara's vein. That is different. That was not the size actually.
Okay.
6 inch, that's a nice guess. But
8 inches.
Bhagavatam. Yes, 8 inch. So what is the distance given? Anyone knows? The Paramatma is the Kshirodashaya Vishnu is as Paramatma.
Distance between the thumb and the little finger.
Not exactly little finger, but
Not
you're
little
almost
Ring
thumb
finger. Ring finger.
ring finger. Good. So the distance between the thumb and the ring finger, that's the distance, that is the size of the Paramatma given. Approximately 8 inches. Okay, that's what it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So Krishna is as Paramatma in our heart. But then as we discussed, there is Paramatma concept is only in the material world. The Paramatma is not in the spiritual world. Why? There's no Paramatma feature in the spiritual world, right? That's because
Audio now unmuted.
Maharaj, because Krishna is there in the spiritual world.
yeah, so that means we are face to face. We are in face to face with Krishna in the spiritual world. So there are 3 aspects of understanding Krishna, right? Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So the Paramatma, the localized feature of the Lord who's in our heart, is only in the material concept. In this material world, it's only. Why? Once we get moksha, we get the spiritual body, go back to Krishna's world. Krishna is already there, as Prabhu said, he is face to face with us. Right? So he's already there. The Bhagavan feature is already there. Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. So Bhagavan is already there. So why you need the Paramatma factor? So the Paramatma, the Kshirodashaya Vishnu in our heart, which mention about 8 inches, that is size between thumb and the ring finger. It's only in the material world concept. And here, the qualities of the super soul or Paramatma is mentioned. Okay, from verse 14 to 18. Sarvada Padi Padam Tat Sarvado Shishiro Mukham Sarvada Shrudima Loke Sarvam Avritya Tishtati. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. Okay, the sun example is given here. So everywhere are his hands and legs, everywhere is his eyes, heads, and faces, everywhere are his ears. He's all pervading. So he's distributed everywhere. The sun exists, diffusing its unlimited rays. So that's the super soul. So the example given is like the cooling glass you put for the car and everything. So whoever is sitting inside, we can see whatever is the outside, but then outside people cannot see. Similarly, the super soul sitting within the heart can see everything, all the activities that is happening outside, but then we as conditioned soul will not be able to see the super soul. So here the verse describes the super soul, the personality godhead, not the individual soul. So this is about the super soul. Okay, because although the Lord is engaged in his pastime in the transcendental planet, he's all pervading. Goloke Vanavishiti Agilatma Buddha. So we can't say Krishna is only in his eternal, he's everywhere. Ndandarastha Paramanache, and he's in even an atom, right? But then still he is there everywhere. That's the all pervading nature of Krishna is mentioned in this sloka. The 15th sloka says about he is the origin of all sources. Sarvendriya Gunabhasam, Sarvendriya Vivarjidam, Asaktam Sarva Bhrichaiva Nirgunam Guna Bhoktacha. The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He's unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the mode of nature, and at the same time, he's the master of all the modes of material nature. So we have here Adish Prabhu, that's he's from a senior batch. He have attendance issues, so he's joined us for this module. Anyone else have joined from the previous batch? No, right? Only him. Okay. So if he makes up this module, then he can clear the Bhakti Shastri. So attendance is very important. That's why I said, like, whoever is filling, you have to fill the attendance form correctly, so that at the end of your Bhakti Shastri course, attendance should not be an issue for your certificate. Okay. Okay, so the second verse says about, the 15th verse says about the super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the mode of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all modes of material nature. Why he is saying that he is without senses? Okay, it's given here. It's no material senses. Okay, no material sense. Krishna's senses are angani yasya sagalendriya vrittiman. All his senses are transcendental. And eyes, I mean, all the senses can take the function of all the other senses. Like with his eyes, he can eat. Just by Krishna glance at the offering, he can take asnami prayadatmanaha, right? When we offer patram pushpam palam toyam, he don't have to personally come and eat. So his senses, no material senses. So what is the problem with material senses? Okay, it says that Krishna doesn't have material senses. Now, what is the issue with the material senses, which we have? What is the issue with the material senses? Is there any? Yeah, imperfect. Good. Sharmila Mother says. Ganeshan Prabhu, you want to add to it?
Yes, Mataji, like the transcendental, it cannot be interchanged at the same time as Mataji told, it's very limited, no, imperfect, very limited.
Limited. Yes, our senses are very, very limited, right? We need a microscope to see the microorganisms. We need a telescope. We need earphones sometimes. We are really defective. So one of the defects of the conditioned soul is we have defective senses. And we use it for sense gratification, right? And it's controlled by the three modes. Yes, it's imperfect. The senses are imperfect. So that's why Prabhupada says, with this imperfect senses, what research can we do? Like we try to go to the moon planet and all that. So whatever we do is imperfect because we have imperfect senses. But then what Krishna does is perfect because his senses are perfect. Now that is one of the defects. What are the other defects we have? Conditioned soul, there have 4 defects now. What are the other defects we have? Yes. Yes, Suma Mataji.
Cheating propensities, Mataji.
Cheating others, yes. Then
Committing mistakes.
Committing mistake.
we commit mistakes. Then 2 more.
Illusion.
Illusion. Yeah, we are in illusion and we have imperfect senses. Okay. So in that way, these are the 4 defects we have. So Krishna is devoid of material senses, in the sense Krishna's senses are not defective, right? That's why we agree to Bhagavad Gita. Whatever Krishna says in the Shastra, we agree. Why? Because he's saying from his perfect senses. We are with imperfect sense, material sense. Okay. And he's unattached. Although he's the maintainer of all, he's aloof, right? And Patma Patram Ivambasha, like a lotus leaf. And he's the master of the modes, yet he is transcendental to them. He's above the 3 modes. So the 3 modes, that's why here it said nirguna. Sometimes the Mayavadi say nirguna. That doesn't mean Krishna doesn't have any guna qualities. Krishna doesn't have material qualities. And also sometimes it say nirakar. Krishna doesn't have a form, but then he doesn't have a material form, right? He has spiritual form. So that's the meaning of nirakar and nirguna. Okay. The next sloka says about Bahir Antascha Bhutanam Acharam Charamevacha Sukshmatvat Tad Avijneyam Durastam Chantike Chatat. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and non-moving. But he is subtle and he is beyond the power of material senses to see or know. Although far, far away, he is also near to us. What is another name of Krishna? Because he is beyond our material senses. He says he's outside and inside of all moving and non-moving. He moves and he doesn't move. This is like Ishopanishad verse 5. Something related to that. Yes, Sunita Mataji.
Adhokshaja Mataji.
Good, Atokshaja, right? So Krishna is called Atokshaja, means he's beyond our material senses to perceive. He's not to be perceived by our material senses. Okay, so Ishopanishad verse 5 also says that Krishna moves, doesn't move, he's far, he's near, he's inside, he's outside. So here it said Krishna is inside and outside of all moving and non-moving, means he's inside as Paramatma and he's outside as, again, Paramatma in different other living entities, and also even in the atom he's there. He's also as Brahman, he's as Bhagavan, right? So he's pervading. He moves and he doesn't move. Like, for example, you can see the moon. Once Prabhupada was traveling with his son, and the son asked Prabhupada, why is the moon following us, Papa? Like, we are moving and the moon is also moving. But that's just an illusion. We feel that moon is moving. Is the moon actually moving? No. Right? So Krishna is with us, and that way he is moving with us. But he is also in his Goloka doing his pastimes. He's always there, right? Everywhere. It looks like for a devotee, Krishna is very near, but for non-devotees, Krishna is very, very far, not knowable by material senses. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Napa Vidrahyam Indriye Sevenmuke Hijihvado Swayam Eva Swaraktita. Bhakti Rasamrasa in the Nectar of Devotion also says, Ata Shri Krishna Nama Adi. It's not easy to understand Krishna with our material senses. Nama Adi, right? Nabhavet Grahyam Indriye. Indriye means senses. With this blunt material sense, not able to understand Krishna, we have to start devotional service. Sevenmukihi jihvado, chanting and taking Krishna Prasad with the tongue. That's how we understand Krishna. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. This is for devotees. Krishna is in Goloka, but for a devotee, Krishna is very, very near. Right? Only by devotional service can we understand Krishna. Bhakti amame vichanati. Okay. So, for a devotee, Krishna is always near. But for a non-devotee, Krishna is far, far away. So these are all contradictory statements. Krishna is outside, inside, he moves, he doesn't move, he is far, he is near. It's very contradictory to each other. But this is Krishna's feature. For a devotee, he is near. For a devotee, he is inside. For a devotee, he is very close. But for a non-devotee, he is far. The qualities of Supersoul is continued in the next slokas also. Avibhaktam chapudeshu vibhaktam iva chastitam bhud bhadracha tatniyam grashishu prabha vishnucha. Although the Supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of all living entity, it is to be understood that he diverges and develops all. So he's never divided, although he appears to be divided. In the sense, Krishna is there in everyone's of us, right? Of our heart. But is it like Krishna has been cut or something? No, he's complete, right? He's situated as sun. You can see the sun appears in many places to many people, but actually it is only one, right? Sometimes we say, oh, the sun is on my head. Sometimes we say the sun is that side, this side. But then sun is always just one. But this, like that Supersoul, even though is one, but it looks like divided in everyone's heart is there. And he's the maintainer of all being. He's also the destroyer. Kala Shakti, or time, energy, and creator. Ego Bahunamya Vidadadikam, and he maintains everyone. And he's the source of the light. That is the Brahman, right? The Brahma Jyoti comes from them. So Krishna also comes as Kala to destroy everything. And he knows everything, beginning, the past, present, and future. Jodisham apita jyotis tamasa param uchyate jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam kriti sarvasya vastitam. He's the source of the lights of all luminous objects. He's beyond the darkness of matter and he's unmanifested. He is knowledge, he's the object of knowledge, and he's the goal of knowledge. He's situated in everyone's heart. Kriti sarvasya vastitam. So everyone. Heart, he's there, and he's the knowledge, he's the object of knowledge, he's the goal of knowledge, right? That's what Narayana Parasarvam, Narayana. So it's Krishna or Vasudeva Sarva Iti. Krishna is the ultimate goal of everyone. So here it is said, he's the source of the light of all luminous objects. That's the Brahman. He's beyond the darkness of matter. He's knowledge, he's object of knowledge, and he's the goal of knowledge, and he's situated in everyone's heart. Vidhi Sarvasya Vistita. So Krishna is in everyone's heart, situated in everyone's heart. So the example of sun has been mentioned here. The sun is at meridian, it's situated in its place. But if one goes for 5,000 miles in all direction and ask, where is the sun? Everyone will say it's shining on the head, right? So can you discuss some example from the scriptures with reference to Srila Prabhupada's books on Krishna displaying this quality? Is there any instance where you can see there is Krishna everywhere? Any instance from Srimad Bhagavatam? Anyone remembers to mention the inconceivable potency of Krishna? Yes, Ganesh and Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Once when Narada was about to check in, he was present everywhere in with all his wives and almost 16,108 wives in all the palaces. He could see Krishna in different situations, performing different activities. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
so that was in Dwaraka. So when Narad Muni went to Dwaraka, he could see Krishna in every queen's palace. He was with Satyabhama, he was with Rukmini, he was with Jambavati, everyone, right? 16,108 palaces Krishna was there. In one palace, he was playing with children. In one palace, Rukmini was fanning him. In one palace, he was taking prasad. So Narad Muni is like, 16,108 palaces Krishna was there. Yes, Sharmila Mataji says about the Brahma Vimohan Leela. Good. So every house they had Krishna, because Krishna expanded to be the Gopas, because the gopis had a desire to have Krishna as their son. So for 1 year, when Brahma took away all the calves and the boyhood friends, cowherd boys, and Krishna didn't want to upset the gopis, so Krishna expanded into all the gopas and the cows. And then Balram found it out, right? Nobody could find it actually. Balram, towards the end of the Leela, almost 1 year was about to get over, almost the last 1 week, Balram is like, how come the calves, when they are small, they can drink mother's milk, but even if they are grown up, still they are drinking the mother's milk and the mothers are licking them. So there's something, this is not normal calf, they are Krishna. Then he understood. Balram is the first expansion. Till then, nobody could understand. Yes. Yes, Jyoti Lakshmi Mataji, that's a very nice example. Akrura could see Krishna inside the water, in the sense when he went to Vrindavan to take Krishna and Balram back to Mathura, because Kamsa sent Akrura, and Akrura was taking them on the chariot. Krishna and Balram was in the chariot, and he stopped near Yamuna. He went to take a dip. He saw inside, it was Ananta Sheshan, Mahavishnu on that, and he saw Krishna and Balram on the chariot again. So the Lord showed a multiple form. Yes. So one is Narad Muni seeing Krishna in 16,108 palace. Another is the Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Krishna expands into different cowherd boys and calves. Third is about Akrura. What else? Is there any other example? There are two more nice examples.
Uttara, in the womb of
Uttara.
Uttara, and with Kunti he was there.
Yes. So when Kunti Maharani was offering prayers to Krishna, the same time Ashwathama sent the Brahmastra, and Uttara ran to Krishna saying that Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpade Nanyatvad Abhayam Pashe Titra Mrityu Parasparam. Krishna, I don't have any other rescue from the death of my baby. Please help my baby, because Brahmastra, the specialty is that if you send the Brahmastra, it will go and destroy that particular thing and come back. Otherwise, it won't come back. It's very, very sharp Brahmastra. But then Krishna went inside in the form of a thumb and protected the baby. So in one place, it is said that nothing happened to Parikshit Maharaj in the womb. In another place in Bhagavatam, when I read, Prabhupada mentions that body of Parikshit was actually destroyed by the Brahmastra. And Krishna gave another new body for the Parikshit Maharaj's soul. Anyway, soul doesn't get destroyed, but the body, because Brahmastra is so powerful that the body got destroyed actually, but Krishna gave another body. So it's mentioned like that. I'm not clearly, but then somehow Krishna protected the baby going in the size of a thumb. So with that time, when Krishna entered the Uttara's womb, Krishna was actually present in front of Kunti Maharani. Kunti Maharani was there, and Krishna, she was offering prayers. Krishna was there. Same time, Krishna became the thumb size and went into Uttara's womb also. So that is also an inconceivable potency of Krishna. Yes. What about Raslila? In Raslila, Krishna expanded to millions, right? All the 16,000, how many were there? 16,000 gopis. He was expanding to every 2 gopis had Krishna in the middle. So like that in the Ras Leela, you can see the dance. There is a beautiful picture by ISKCON. There was Krishna in every gopi was thinking that Krishna is dancing with me, right? Even though he was with Radharani, he was with every gopi, he expanded. So that's also another form of inconceivable potency of Krishna, how Krishna expanded. Okay. So he's there everywhere. He's there in Goloka. At the same time, he's in Vaikuntha. He's also in our heart as Paramatma. He's there everywhere. These are all different inconceivable potency of the Lord. Anyone else remember any other instance? Even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can see when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually took sannyas and when he actually went to Sachimata's house when taking prasadam. So he was there. He was not actually there in Sachimata's house, but he was there. He went in her dream. She could see, but then he was actually going there and taking prasadam. So Mahaprabhu could expand different forms. Okay, so the Lord is about like the sun. Sun is shining on our head, and sometimes we say the sun is coming with us. Sun is in that place, this place we'll see, but then sun is only one. So similarly, Krishna, one person, but then expands to different forms and energies, and it's revealed. And the Radayatra. I remember that when Jagannath was taken for Radayatra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had 8 dancing teams, the Sankirtan teams, led by 4 mridangas and kartals and 8 teams, okay, on different sides of the Ratha. So Mahaprabhu expanded to 8 Mahaprabhus, and he was dancing with every Sankirtan group, but not everyone could see except Swarup Damodara and Ramananda Rai, and also Prataprudra, King Prataprudra. He was doing the service of sweeping the floor, right, when Jagannath Ratha was coming with the golden handle. Even though he was the king, he did that menial service of sweeping the floor when Jagannath was coming. So Mahaprabhu was so impressed by Prataprudra Varma's service that Prataprudra Varma was so fortunate to see Mahaprabhu, 8 Mahaprabhus dancing. Nobody else could see. Mahaprabhu was in that team, this team, everywhere Mahaprabhu was dancing. So that is also an inconceivable potency. Yeah, that childhood pastime of Nimai. Yes, Guru Shri Mataji. So when Nimai was had this water spot, he used to go to Ganges and tie the shikas of the Brahmanas, or he used to spit on them, or he used to throw mud on them when they bath. And he used to, the young girls, when they pray to Lord Shiva, he used to go and take the offering, and he'll say that you will get old man as your husband, and he used to curse them. So much complaint came about Nimai to Jagannatha Mishra. So Jagannatha Mishra was waiting. Jagannath Mishra was waiting for Nimai to come home. He was in Ganga playing, but then at the same time, he went to school and he acted as if he's coming from school. There was so many ink and all on his body. And when Jagannath Mishra asked, "You didn't go to Ganges?" He's like, "No, father. See, I'm coming from school. I didn't take a bath yet." But actually, he was in Ganges playing. At the same time, he came home and saying that he didn't do anything wrong. So the father could not chastise him. So in that way, so many pastimes where you can see that Krishna is there everywhere. So Krishna is the inconceivable potency of Krishna. It's only a devotee can understand. Nobody else can understand. Okay. So in chapter 13, Krishna has described the body, Kshetra, knowledge, Jnana, and knowable, that is Sneha. Prabhupada writes, it's especially described here that only the unallowed devotees of the Lord can understand these 3 items clearly. So for the devotees of Bhagavad Gita, it is fully useful. It is they who can attain the supreme goal, the nature of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. In other words, only devotees and not others understand Bhagavad Gita and derive the desired results. Okay. This is clear, like only devotees can understand Bhagavad Gita, derive the results. Means they can only apply, non-devotees cannot understand it. So we'll continue with verse number 20, a little bit more. I want to finish it fast. Actually, anyone remembers when did we start a Bhakti Shastri course? Was it like last Balram Purnima, near to that? Right, because Balram Purnima is approaching.
If I'm not mistaken, I think next week of Balram Purnima, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, next week, I think. So that means Balram Purnima is coming now. That is August 30th. So we have almost completed 1 year, and our module 3 will get over fast. And once we are done that, then NOD, NOI, and Ishwapanishad is together. We can finish it in fast. So we'll try to finish the course fast. But actually the online Bhagavad Gita course is 2 years. So, but NOD has only few sessions and NOI and Ishopanishads is together. So it's like module 4 is NOD and 5 is NOI plus Ishopanishad together. So we can find, 5th August we started. Oh, so almost like 1 year now. Okay, so we'll continue with 20 to 23, 6 saying about Prakriti, Purusha and the union. Okay. So in the 20th sloka, the mystery of the material creation is mentioned here. Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Viti Anadi Ubhav Api Vikramscha Gunams Chaiva Viti Prakriti Sambhavan. Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginless. The transformation and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Okay. So the similarity and differences of the material nature and the living entity is mentioned here. So Purusha, the difference between the two knowers, soul and the super soul. The Supreme Lord is Supreme Purusha, right? He is the master, controller, enjoyer, proprietor, and maintainer. The Jiva, the living entity, is the energy of the Lord. And we are not the master, we are controlled, right? We enjoy it and Krishna is the enjoyer. That's one difference. And there is similarities that both living entity and the material nature is eternal, right? The difference is the material nature has constant transformation. The nature of the living entity is non-changing as spirit soul. Why the eternal living entity fall down? Because of the rebellious nature of misusing our minute independence. So Krishna stresses here saying that know for certain that all transformation and influences of material nature by the three modes are productions of material nature. And as far as spirit soul is concerned, living entities are all the same and transformation and varieties are due to the body. We are all eternal servants of Krishna, but the variety is because of Karanam Guna Sangha Asya, because of the three modes influencing us. Karya Karana Kartatve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate Purusha Shukra Dukhana Bhuktve Hetu. Okay, so 13th sloka chapter has 35 verses. Okay, we'll need one more class. So relationship between Prakriti and Jiva. Prakriti or the material nature is said to be the cause of all material cause and effects. And Purusha here means the living entity. We are also Purusha in the sense we are being enjoyed, but the supreme Purusha, Purusha Uttama is Krishna. He is the cause of own happiness and distress due to our enjoying propensity. We are only having the desire, so we enjoy, and the distress also because of our desires, because of the desire to load it of a material nature. Kindness of the Supreme Soul as Super Soul is, the Supreme Lord is so kind upon the living entity that is always accompanies the individual soul and in all circumstances is present as the Super Soul. So Krishna is in all circumstances as present as the Super Soul or Paramatma in us. Okay, so that is mentioned here, the kindness. So that means Krishna is so kind that he accompanies the individual soul in all circumstances. Can someone explain this statement? What do you mean by that? That he accompanies the individual soul in all circumstances as the super soul. Like? Yes, Sunita ji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, when we change our bodies, Mataji, whether we will be an animal or beast, whatever, Mataji,
Yes.
whichever for yoni we take, Paramatma will be there with us.
Yes, so even the example given is the worm in the stool. Just imagine that's the worst kind of, worst kind of birth which anyone can get. Does anyone know why they become the worm in the stool? It's given in the Bhagavatam. I think 12th canto, 11th canto somewhere. 11th canto it's mentioned. Does anyone know why a living entity get that most abominable, that's the most abominable type of birth, right? To become a worm in the stool. But Bhagavatam explains that if somebody misuses Krishna's properties or wealth, okay, like it belongs to Krishna, every wealth and everything belongs to Krishna, but then especially if somebody misuses the wealth, which is specially kept for Krishna and misuses it, then what happens? They even can become the worm in the stool. So if they even become that, Still Krishna goes as Paramatma, the super soul, even in that worm, right? So as Mata said, yes, whichever yoni we take, whichever janma, Krishna is so kind that he is accompanying from 84 lakh species, even though we neglect him. Krishna is even in the heart of Mayavadi, no? Mayavadis keep saying about Krishna as Nirakar, Nirguna, and Krishna is like that, like this, so many things. But the Mayavadi actually is also having Krishna in their heart, his heart as Paramatma, right? So Krishna is so kind that he is accompanying the individual soul in all circumstances. That's the meaning. So that's his Kamvayalum Sharanam Rajayame, when he killed, when he gave the position of mother to Putanaho, Bakiyam Skanakala Kudam, Vijam Sayapyayada Asatvi, Labhe Gatim Tatri Uchitam Tatonyam Kamvadayalam Sharanam Rajayam. So merciful Krishna is that who came to give poison, Krishna made him the mother. That's the merciful part of Krishna. Purusha Pragradistohi Bhunte Pragradijan Gunat Karanam Guna Sangasya Sadasatyoni Janmashu. It's a very, very important sloka. Karanam Guna Sanga Asya. Prabhupada keep quoting this word. Karanam Guna Sanga Asya. Why are we having 84 lakh species? Because of our desires to associate with the three modes. Karanam Guna Sangasya. The living entity in the material nature thus follows the way of the life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil among various species. Okay, how many human living beings are there? What's the number given in the Shastras out of 84 lakhs? What's the amount of human species?
4 lakh, Mataji. 4 lakh.
4 lakh. 4 lakh. Is it 3 lakh 99999? Or is it 4 lakh and 1? Plus or minus 4 lakh?
Exactly 4 lakh. It is
Exactly 4 lakh. No. Yes, Prabhu. So that's Shastra. Okay. See, Prabhupada says, if it was exactly right, it's 4 lakh. So if it was some scientific research which they did, they will not be able to say exact 4 lakh. What will they say? Approximately 4 lakh, or they'll say plus or minus 4 lakh. They might say 4 lakh plus a little bit, or 4 lakh minus. Now, approximately that word might come. But then Shastra is so perfect that Prabhupada's like 4 lakhs means 4 lakh. If we count, we can't even reach that 4 lakh because it's from all different planets, from all different universes. But because the Shastra has been given by the Lord, Vedanta Krit Veda Vide Vachaham, he has given the Shastras, it's exact 4 lakh. So that's the authority. So here it said 84 lakh species. Why so many species are there? Karanam Gunasanga Asya, because we are associating. If you associate with devotees and all, definitely we get a higher birth. Shriram Srimadam Gehe. But if you associate with lower animals, species and all, or associate with that mode of nature, Tamoguna, you go to that species. So why there are different species? Is because of the three modes. So what's the solution? We have to hear from the authoritative sources. So unless one is situated in Krishna consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another because he has material desires since time immemorial. But he has to change that conception. That change can be effected only by hearing from authoritative sources. Like Arjuna is hearing the signs of God from Krishna. The living entity, if he submits to the hearing process, he will lose all his long cherished desire to dominate material nature, and gradually he'll reduces his long desire to dominate and he comes to enjoy the spiritual happiness. So the transmigration is mainly because of we are associating with different modes. Taja Brada Bhokta Maheshwara Paramatmedi Chapito Dehe Asmin Purushapara. Yet in this body, there's another transcendental enjoyer who's the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and the permitter, and who is known as the super soul. So again, the concept of super soul is coming here. Upatrishta Anumanta is mentioned here. I think these two topics it'll keep coming in your Bhakti Shastri questions. The Upatrishta is the overseer and Anumanta is the permitter. Okay, that's Krishna. So the Lord is always eager to take the jiva back to the spiritual world. But because of our minute independence, we misuse it. The individual entity is continuously rejecting the association of the spiritual light. This misuse of independence is the cause of our material struggle in this conditional nature. The Lord is therefore always giving instructions from within and from without. From without, he gives instruction as Bhagavad Gita, and from within, he comes as the Chaitya Guru, as Paramatma. And from without, he also comes as the Guru outside. Just give it up and turn your faith towards me. Then you'll be happy. That's what Krishna says. Thus, the intelligent person who places his faith in the Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, begins to advance towards a blissful eternal life. Okay. So, okay, we'll come back to this. We have a breakout room after some time. Okay, so here in the 24th and 25th sloka, result of this knowledge, okay, is mentioned. What is the result of now having this knowledge of the soul, the super soul, and everything, Prakriti, Purusha, everything is mentioned in the verse 24 to 25 and 25. Ya evam veti Purusham Prakritim chagunai saha sarvada vartmano api na sapuyo abhijayate. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the incarnation of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. So Krishna says, no, Janma Karma Jane Divyam. If you know about Krishna's activities and everything, Tektva Deham Punarjanma Naidi Mamedi Sorjana, no more taking birth. Dhyanenatmani Pashyanti Kichit Atmanam Atmana. Anye Sankhena Yogena, Karma Yogena Chakare. Some perceive the supersoul within themselves through meditation, others through cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. So, result of the knowledge is that he who knows his knowledge about Prakriti, Purusha, and the modes surely attain liberation. And what are the other method of realizing Paramatma? Dhyana and Ashtanga Yoga. Okay. The importance of hearing is given in the next sloka. That is about why it is important to hear from the right source. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, began to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Anyatve evam ajananta shrutanyebhya upasate te api chatitar and eva vrityam shruti parayanaha. Okay, so it said, as a common man, if he is a good soul, then there is a chance for advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important. Lord Chaitanya, who preached Krishna consciousness in the modern world, gave great stress to hearing, because if a common man simply hear from the authoritative sources, then especially according to Lord Chaitanya, if he hears the transil vibration Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, then it is all glorious. One should learn to become the servant of those who are in knowledge of the Supreme Lord. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of pure devotee and hear from him, then we'll be gradually elevated to the position of a pure devotee. Process of hearing is strongly recommended here, and it's very appropriate. Although common man is not often as capable of the so-called philosophers, faithful hearing from authoritative person will help one transcend the material existence, go back to Godhead. Okay, so this is the breakout room question. Explain the entanglement of living entity in the modes of material nature with regard to the Sanskrit phrases and analogies. 20 to 23. Okay, so preaching application. You got the question? I'll share it in the chat. Entanglement, you're supposed to mention about the entanglement of living entity in the modes of material nature. Okay, please refer to the Sanskrit phrases and also the analogies also. We didn't discuss much analogies today, but if you go through the part, you can see the analogies. Okay, you got the question? All of you just copy the question and go to breakout room. You can post it there, so that you just 5 minutes might be just a preaching application. Okay, just a preaching part. Hare Krishna. So all are back.
Krishna, Krishna.
So we'll discuss. I'll just put it in. You unmute everyone. So who's speaking from row number 1? Hare Krishna. Akshay Prabhu, Madhu, Mataji, Kunshri Mother, Sumana, Sunita Mother.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Yeah, Mataji. We read the purpose of 22, 23.
Yeah.
1 second, Mataji. Yeah, 22, 23. So, in the purport of 21, like it is mentioned that like we are like the individual entity is like a bhukta and the Lord is a bhukta out there. So that is one thing. And also in 21, like it is said that, there's an analogy like, whichever body we are put into, we have to act according to that particular body. So if we are put into the body of a dog, we act like a dog and we enjoy as per the dog out there. Similarly, in case of a hog, like if you're put into the body of a hog, we act according to a hog out there. But in whichever, like based on our desires and all, whichever body we transmigrate to, the Lord as a Sakhaya, that is Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya. The Supreme Lord is always kind and is always accompanies us out there. So irrespective of whichever body we are into, you also mentioned about the worm in the stool. So even if it's in a worm in the stool, Paramatma is always there, even when if in the worm in the stool out there. So that is one thing. And in verse 23, we mentioned it's mentioned that the super soul is he's an Upadrishta and Anumanta, that is he's the overseer and the permitter out there. So and he exists out there waiting for us to face towards the Lord and get into the spiritual world or go return back to the Godhead out there. And also like we as individuals are like bhukta, or we are like we just sustain ourselves, whereas Lord is a bhukta or the maintainer actually out there. So these are the points which we covered.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Room number 2.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, yeah. And according to 13.21, that is according to one's desires and activities, one is given a body and he is put into that control, he is put into the control by the nature. And because it is the law of nature to take, the human being believes that basically has the tendency to lord over the nature. But ultimately what happens, the nature takes over him and entangles him again and again into further bodies because he wants to enjoy more and more. For example, he is, as Gunashri Mataji told, if he wants to take the form, if he is given a body of a dog, then he has to act like a dog. If he is given a body of a hog, then he has to the hog has to eat stool and perform the activities of a hog. Or in case if the body of a demigod is given, then accordingly the activities are ingrained in that particular body. And this is the law of nature. And according to 13.22, a change of dress is due to material entanglement. And it happens again and again as long as the desire to the senses to enjoy the material aspects of life, this is going to happen and again and again. And according to 13.23, the tendency to dominate, because the basic tendency is to dominate and misuse the little freedom that has been given by the Supreme Lord and get entrapped again and again in the material nature, which leads to take different bodies again and again. And another reason is because having been forgotten that we are a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, continuously rejecting the association of the spirituality, we get again and again entangled in the three modes of material nature. And the solution is to rise above the situation by hearing the holy name and submit to the Supreme Lord. And Hare Krishna, just a minute. Submit to the Supreme Lord, and by doing so, we can lose the material desire, and where Krishna accompanies us in every body, whatever body we take, and as a Chaitya Guru, he is within, and if we have to take to the spirituality, then he guides us from without also as a spiritual master, and on the form of Bhagavad Gita also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Room number 3.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah, from Shloka 21, Purusha Sukha Dukkhanam. Like it means that the living entity is the cause of his own happiness and distress due to his enjoying propensity. And from 22, we have this Karanam Guna Sango Asya. Like we are put into different bodies due to the association of with the three modes of nature. Like we may given maybe given a dog's body or a demigod's body or a hog's body according to the laws of according to our past karma and our activities and desires. We are given different bodies. Then the analogy of the changing dress, like I think it's in 22, the living entity is transmigrating from one body to another just as one changes dress. And in 22, that bhukta, like individual soul can't do anything on its own until it is sanctioned by the like the Lord. And I think the two birds analogy also we can mention that one is the living entity, the other is the super soul. Like the super soul is waiting when the living entity will look towards the super soul. Yeah, like the living entity is busy enjoying the material nature. Yeah, these are the analogies. Yeah, anything to add, Suma Mataji?
Okay. Hare Krishna. It's done like perfectly nicely given. So that's what. So when you concentrate on the question, you should always see the thing is asked is with reference to the Sanskrit verses and analogies. So the last team, breakout number 3, have perfectly told about the Sanskrit verses. I think some team, okay, they explained, but they forgot to mention the verse, phrase, and analogies were missing in some. So it was nicely presented. So we should concentrate on this part. Okay, when you say with reference with Sanskrit verse, phrase, and analogy, that should be used, should be mentioned from verse 20 to 23. Yes, you can use another analogies, what's not mentioned, but still to be very specific, you should mention from the verse. Good. Okay, so that's the question of entanglement of the living entity in the modes of material nature mentioned.
I think the two bird analogy is in the old version.
Upanishads. Oh,
no,
like
no,
that.
old.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
Rajeshri
okay.
Mataji was saying, but it's not in our book.
Yeah,
I don't know.
why is the printing happened, na? Yeah, the printing edition. So yes, in some books, okay, but that can be mentioned here because that's from an Upanishad where soul and the super soul, like one word eating the fruit, other one witnessing. Good. Okay. So I think we can end here. Any questions or anything to add? We can add. Yes. Okay. So by next week we'll finish chapter 13. So please start memorizing the slokas. Prabhu, you have posted the unit 3 question handbook. Na? The slokas also just post once more so that they know which slokas to memorize.
Sure, Mataji.
Unit 3.
And unit 3 question has been posted by Gunashri Mataji very recently also. Thanks to Gunashri Mataji.
Yes, so it's so that the devotees can learn. So don't worry, like those who can't memorize all the slokas, whatever we memorize, please send it so that accordingly marks also will be given. But it's perfect if we could do all the
14, Mataji.
14. Okay. But some have done really well. If you practice now itself, no, it's easy. Otherwise, it's difficult. Yes, Ganeshan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. This is a question, no? You were just telling, no? And in Bhagavatam 11th chapter, it's mentioned that taking birth as a 11th canto and taking birth as a worm in the stool and all, no, misuse of Krishna's property. Everything is Krishna's property, you know. Whatever is there, everything is Krishna's property. I was just thinking about it. No? Can you give a
there specifically it's mentioned about Krishna's properties, in the sense the wealth that is set aside for Krishna's service, in the sense especially for temple, like a temple congregation, wherever it is, the devotees in the temple itself. Like sometimes you can see some when Prabhupada's times, so many were from a criminal background, right? Many were from jail and prison house. So they tried to misuse the wealth which has been kept for Krishna's exclusive service. Yes, in that way, everything is Krishna's service. But then misusing, specifically mentioned in Bhagavatam, is the wealth that is set aside for doing for Krishna's like worship or something like that. So especially in a temple setup or somewhere. So there, if somebody misuse it, then it is like they become the one with the soul. That's how it is completely mentioned there. Okay. Yes, Jyotilakshmi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I had a doubt in text 18 first part, in that it is there. Therefore, there are two knowers of the field of activity, the individual soul and super soul must be admitted. One's hands and legs are distributed locally, but Krishna's hands and legs are distributed everywhere. What does it mean by distributed? Krishna's hands and legs, it is towards the end, Mataji.
Yeah, so there,
everywhere Krishna's, I can understand, but locally
in the sense as Paramatma, like as the local aspect is Krishna's. Yes, hands and legs are distributed locally, but Krishna's, one's hands and legs, that is ours actually.
Our living entity,
living entities. So we can do only
why
here. No?
Why is it said distributed? Sorry,
distributed in the sense
the word distributed used?
Yeah, so we can do, or our hands can reach only to that particular limit. Like we can't go beyond it. So distributed in the sense that particular area we can work. But Krishna's hands everywhere, distributed everywhere, means it is said, no, you should try to see Krishna's hand in every thing what happens in our life. So they say that try to see not Krishna's feet, but try to see Krishna's hand, in the sense as if Krishna is doing it. Nimitta matram bhavisavasachin. But ours is distributed in the sense we can work only in our field of activities. Like if you say the cow that is tied to a tree, it can go around only that particular circumference. No, that means his freedom is distributed only in that particular area. So ours is only locally distributed, in the sense only locally we can use it, on the sense we can work only that limited way. But for Krishna, it's like unlimited. So that's the saying here, Mataji. Sarvasya Prabhum Ishanam Sarvasya Sharanam Brat. That's what Upanishad also says, right?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so I think we can end here 9 o'clock. So next week we will try to finish chapter 13. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you filled the form. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. Vanchakalpadarupascha Kripasindhubhyo Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Nandkodi Vaishnavandike Jai Shri Prabhupada ki